Hello there and welcome in. What I'd like to start today is a five-part series on how you can create microgames. Now, we should open up with who am I? My name is Ian Richard, and I am best known for creating the Cards of Cthulhu board game and Non Gratis Redentum. But what some people don't know is that I have been making games professionally for over 10 years, and I have shipped both video games and board games. So I've been doing this quite a long time. So what is the difference between a microgame and a game? The name says it all. A microgame is everything that a game is except smaller. So fewer rules, fewer components, shorter playtime, everything you expect from a game except in a smaller package. And the reason I want to talk about this is to specifically differentiate it from a prototype or a demo. Prototypes tend to focus on the first half of development where you're coming up with an idea and you're developing things, but they don't focus on end game polish. And a demo tends to come later on where it's much more about putting polish on an unfinished product. So it focuses on the end. The micro game will cover both the idea, the development, and the polish. Why am I focusing on micro games instead of full size games? The reason is because games are a gargantuan task. There's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot that can go wrong. And it's really intimidating to get into. But with a micro game, they're small enough that absolutely anybody can do them. With the Cards of Cthulhu, it was originally a 24-hour project, and at that time, I owned exactly one board game. So I was not an expert in the field. And my first computer game, I programmed it when I was 8 years old. If I can do it, so can you. And in addition to that, this same experience will carry over into larger developments in the future. But the biggest reason I recommend microgames, both to experienced developers and new ones, is that it condenses the development cycle into a much smaller period of time. Think of it this way: a video game professional ships a game every 2 to 6 years on average. That means in a 30-year career, they might put out 10 games. These 10 iterations will develop everything that they know about making games. But if you bring that number down, you might be able to put out 50 games or 100 games, giving you a lot of chances to learn from the process. In a matter of weeks or months, you will have run through the concept and design. You will have developed the game, you would have polished the game, and you would be dealing with player feedback. You will learn a lot very, very quickly by doing micro games. So, what should you be expecting from this series of videos? I want to focus much more on guiding principles and specific methodology that has worked for me over the years, things that I've developed by making loads and loads of games. And these are things that will apply both to video game development and tabletop game development. If there's any differences between the two, I'll let you know. What you should not expect from these videos is specific software tutorials or specific coding. This is focused on the principles and the decision making because there are already loads of tutorials on YouTube: how to Unity, how to Unreal, how to build this game type, and they'll all tell you better than I'd be able to in this one presentation. What you'll need to bring to the table. First off, if you're doing video games, you want to start with the software and the skills that you already have. It doesn't matter whether it's Unity or Unreal or web code or anything, whatever software you know, have that ready to work with. And if you're doing tabletop games, get some index cards, some dice, some playing cards, maybe a couple of boxes that you can cannibalize for parts. The key is that you're going to start with whatever tools and skills you have today. Today we have covered the introduction. In 1 week, we're going to cover what I call the one idea, and that's how to find a concept that's worth pursuing and finding the core of your game. The week after that, we're going to focus on how do we expand that core into a full experience. The next week is how do you put the finishing touches on your game? Things like polish and making sure that everything feels complete. And during the final lesson, I want to talk about how can you learn from the things that went right and the things that went wrong. Over the next week, I mostly want you to relax and just prepare for what comes next. Take some time to prepare your workspace and your components so that when you sit down to make your game, everything is in one place and you don't have to go looking for things or installing them. It's all ready for you. And I will recommend that next week you just plan to schedule 1 hour a day for like 3 separate days. That should give you plenty of time to get a good start. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in the next video, it will be up next Friday. Hit the sub button down below. And good luck making your first micro game.